think if
I'll
you,
take the whole book.
I think where we're coming from, Steve, where we're coming from is you shouldn't be taking any little aspects of that book, because what matters are the consequences of the actions. It does not matter what that book says, at all,
So
on any
what
level.
we should be doing is making our own decisions for ourselves as an individual person.
There you go.
Is what you're saying.
And as a society.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So does that mean if I make my decision about moral attributes, a personal decision without the book, but my moral attributes are different from, let's say, your attributes, depending on country or race, which one would be right?
Yeah, I addressed this a couple minutes ago when I said that one of the common objections is that secular morality doesn't have a mechanism to deal with these differences. It does, in fact. And no, I am not a moral relativist. I don't think that morals are right or wrong because of a society. That, for example, if your society says that female genital mutilation is good, then it must be good. No, it's still wrong. I am okay with the idea of moral absolutes in a limited context, within the context of the situation and the fact that we're dealing about primarily human beings and thinking minds. These things are all dependent on physical laws. And while we may not know everything, and we may not be able to assess the consequences of every situation right off the bat, that doesn't mean we don't know anything. And so if you start saying that in your mind it's morally correct to go around slaughtering people, I have to question what you mean by moral. Because by anything that we would actually consider moral, we can demonstrate that running around slaughtering people does not lead to a positive result for the person slaughtering or the societies that allow this or the people who have been slaughtered. So this is a complex scenario that you have to actually assess. And this idea that, oh, well, I can say this is moral and you can say this is moral and now we're stuck. Yeah, I addressed that like 10 minutes ago because it's just not true. You base your decisions and you base your moral opinions on evidence and the consequences of actions. And yeah, you have to weight some things. You have to say, well, you know, you begin with very simple things like death is generally preferable to life and health is generally preferable to sickness. And you begin with those and you build. And sometimes when those come in conflict, there are individual decisions to be made. For example, death may actually be preferable to life if you are so sick and in pain and there's no option for recovery. Death may be the preferable thing. But that isn't, that when we talk about morals, we're actually more talking about rules of thumbs and general guidelines and then assessing each individual situation separately. Doesn't mean we don't have, I likened it to a chess game. If you pull up a chess game mid-game and ask 100 grandmasters what's the best move, you may get one answer if there's one obvious best move in game X. But in game Y, you may get a bunch of different answers, and some of them are going to be correct, and some of them are going to be wrong, and you may get different answers that are equally correct because they both lead to good outcomes. But to look at that and say, well, we don't know what's correct, therefore we shouldn't play the game or we can't make a move, that's just nonsense.